I want this chance to show you that your garden karate is so much nonsense. And that's quite easy to do. I know Kung Fu.
Show me. Let me ask you guys this question. I have to know. Swordplay. Your thoughts on that shit? Just in general. It could be fencing, could be kendo, could be fucking LARPing, medieval fucking joust, all that shit. Medieval times. What are your thoughts on just swordplay in general?
I mean, it looks good for cinema.
Yeah.
Movies. I don't know how functional it would be in the actual fight because I don't train swordplay, but it looks cool.
Outside of LARPing, I think that there is value in it for certain techniques to work in an actual altercation.
I think that there is certain techniques and movements that can be done based upon, swordplay that could be used in a practical setting. Oh man, this is how I know that we are going to be in for a fun show. Let's just go on ahead and just fucking get started. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another exciting edition of H&L Presents, the Fistfights and Fried Rice podcast. I am your host, Tazz, aka the voice of a generation, filling those ear holes with that sweet, sweet vernacular that you had no idea that your body was missing. And now you do. Joined with me this evening, we have a small crew, but a fucking bomb-ass crew, so we're going to have a lot of laughs and a good time tonight. First up, a man that needs absolutely no introduction, and I mean no introduction. The man, the myth, the meat, the legend, rolling 15 inches deep, the destroyer of all things ovaries, the one, the only, Bastatch of the H8L, Lobo.
I was born ready, Tazz.
Up next, a true connoisseur of all things combat sports, the Rain Man of martial arts, the encyclopedia of all things combat related, the self-appointed black man of Dagestan. We proudly bring to you a one Justice Magnificent.
What's up? Back in it.
Talking swordplay today. Weaponry, swordplay. We're going to get into a couple of number of different things, but for the most part, we're going to be sticking with the way of the blade, if you will. You said something earlier on, Justice, that I could not help but agree with. That swordplay looks great for cinema, and that's absolutely correct. You go back to the early days of films. Was it The Mark of Zorro and freaking Errol Flynn and all that shit, and they're running around dressed like fucking pirates in tights, and there's always those really horribly choreographed sword fights. Imagine, right? We hit a Wayback Machine, and we end up in the feudal days of what the fuck ever. We were actually forced to have to walk around with a sword. How effective do you actually think that shit would have actually been in real life during those times?
I mean, overall, I think that would have been a few things, but it would have been like any fight versus any kata, any practice, any techniques. There have been certain things you do and certain things you don't do when it came to a real situation. I don't think you would have been out there, trying to do a pose with the sword up in the air or trying to draw your sword, right before someone's going to attack you. Like, that would be crazy.
I think all that shit went right out the window with the invention of the fucking firearm.
100% did.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, obviously we weren't alive in those times. We couldn't see that shit back then. But I've always wondered, when it comes to swordplay, was that a feasible thing? To me, it would have made more sense to carry a fucking knife or a small hatchet, because I think you would do far more damage and it'd be far more intimidating and more realistic to be able to hide that hatchet, hide that knife, and just fucking prison shank the shit out of Zorro.
I mean, hot take. I think swordplay from especially certain arts have been romanticized to thinking that that's how it works. I'm not gonna say what region of the world, but there's a certain region of the world where swordplay is kind of outlandish at times, but especially when it comes to cinema. But for people to think
Well,
that that would really happen, it's crazy. That's the best way. It's crazy
No, I respect that.
without without offending anybody.
It's kind of like when I look at fencing. I like fencing for what it is. I think it's an entertaining thing to watch. I don't believe in my heart of hearts that, back in the days of Johann or whatever, dudes were just walking around with like fencing swords and they'd pull them out and, again, hit you with that Mark Zorro bullshit. I don't believe it. But again, could be wrong. But I also think that just most people, if I see that you have a sword on you, I'm going to run up on you before you get a chance to draw your sword and just beat the ever-living shit out of you.
High stress situation. I mean, are you really gonna sit there and draw your sword and get into your stance and do all that? No.
Fuck no. But I do think there's a benefit to it. Like, I'm not just going to just sit here and just straight up shit up on, swordplay. I do think there's a benefit. And I think one of the benefits of training in swordplay and weaponry, one, it looks cool. Two, you definitely learn some cool moves and cool maneuvers and shit like that. But also, I think the footwork aspect of it is actually really good. There's a lot of good footwork and angles that are taken and used within swordplay that I think could be applied to other combat-related arts. So I will give it an edge in regards to that. No pun intended with the edge. They look cool. Walk into a room seeing a bunch of swords on display, it looks dope as fuck. And I like the fact that just about every culture in the world pretty much has their own type of sword or bladed weapon. Even cultures that had never seen each other or even heard of each other had the wherewithal to build and forge and make swords, and I think that's dope as shit. Like, I'll give credit to the the LARPers out there who keep swordplay alive. That wasn't fair. I should say I give credit to a lot of the martial arts styles that keep swordplay alive. I'm not the biggest fan of martial arts like Aikido. I think there's techniques from that art that you can use that can be beneficial, like some of the locks and some of the holds. I think it's great that it has maintained its use of swordplay and its applications of swordplay within the art. It's not something that I would pay money for to learn at this stage in my life. Maybe when I was younger and if it was cheaper to do, maybe it might have been something I would have looked into. Because these sword arts are fucking expensive, man. Like kendo and fencing, that shit's expensive as fuck. You ever guys tried looking into that shit?
yeah, it's really expensive just because you have to buy the safety gear as well as the mock weapons in order to do the whole thing. Yeah, it's like I think like an actual decent sword for fencing is still like $500 on the cheap end.
And
that's not
for a practice sword?
For like an actual practice sword that maybe not fencing specifically. Like I know a buddy of mine does German longsword, and his practice sword is about $300 to $500, somewhere in that price range.
Holy shit!
And that's not including the helmet, the gloves, the chest pad, and anything else you would need. Like these guys are actually hitting each other.
Okay.
Nowadays, I know there's nylon, plastic ones that are pretty good, that are a lot more affordable. But I haven't really seen a lot of people use those.
That shit, $465. That shit is crazy.
You ever look up the cost of an entire suit of kendo armor? And I know it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you want to, what's the expression? You got to pay to play. I mean, I get that to an extent, but man, dude, some of this stuff is crazy expensive. And I look at stuff like this, and it makes me think to myself, is this the reason why, the armored fucking Battle League shit didn't take off? Is this the reason why when M1 Global had their medieval full contact fucking medieval time shit, is that the reason why it didn't take off? Because of the cost?
I can just see that being pretty niche. It's like I mean, yeah, people know sword fighting and whatnot, but how many people are gonna pay to watch that? Especially when you consider other combat sports like boxing has been on TV since like TV has started.
There was a time we would have jokingly said, who would want to pay money to watch two people stand on a podium and slap each other? There would have been a time where we would have mockingly joked, who wants to watch two adults with pillows professionally running around and hitting each other? And just for hot take, there was a time Justice Magnificent would have said, hey, who wants to watch women play basketball?
Wow, that's crazy. UTBABYA, you see what he tried to do?
What's up, UTBABYA? Excellent segue. Oh, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been approached by a man that truly needs no introduction, as cool as the other side of the pillow, my brother from another mother, the man that had me at hello, the one, the only, UTBABYA.
Justice Magnificent wants Title IX repealed.
Man, hot take justice.
Ooh, that's a deep cut.
Man.
That
Wow.
I did not say that.
So I guess you have issues with them voting too, huh?
I'm a big fan of WNBA. I'm old school, sir. Don't even do that.
I'm only just repeating what I had heard from this moralist vegan. Yeah, I'm not editing that out. So back to the topic at hand. But yeah, I see you put this thing in the chat about these expensive ass swords. I'm still convinced though. If you put a platform up, give them a channel, take a team, 2 teams, give them like a cool atmosphere, a cool background, or just a cool place to beat the shit out of each other. Let them get fully geared up, helmets, swords, shields, mock hatchets, etc., and let them go fucking full contact, William Wallace style on each other. I think that shit is a ratings fucking juggernaut, and I think that becomes a new it sport that lasts at least a handful of seasons. Thoughts?
That already exists. It might not be on TV, but the exact thing you're describing, it already exists.
Yeah, but I said on TV. Honestly, I think weapon-based combat sports gets views. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. For those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s, I mean, wasn't some of the best events on American Gladiators like the fucking Joust and Joust was fucking huge, man.
I just watched that the first episode of that documentary. Have you guys seen that?
Yes, dude.
That shit.
Have you finished
dude,
it?
I can't wait to finish that.
Okay.
I
an American Gladiator documentary?
Oh, bro.
Yeah, it's so dope.
They fucking.
What's it on?
Deep. Was it like fucking Peacock or some shit or
I think so.
It's one of those. Dude, if you get totally worth watching it.
Yeah, I gotta finish it, but
it answers it answers a lot of questions about fuckers you saw in one season and then never saw again.
Mm-hmm. Well, dude, that shit was so basement at the first season.
That shit was that I can't even call that basement, dude. That was hood rich at best.
Oh, yeah, that one girl that like completely ripped up her knee because they put the wrestling thing on like a 2-inch platform. Like what?
Yes.
They did what?
They put like
giant, there's a giant fucking black dude. Like that dude's huge as shit. It's like Gemini or some shit.
Gemini, yeah.
They were like, yeah, just take a pillow and wrap it around your forearm and use that as a fucking guard and knock this dude out of the circle. What?
Jesus Christ!
It's like when you see them, like they didn't have this. Like, dude, when you see it, they didn't have uniforms. They were just making shit, gluing shit together. And like his first costume was like basically 2 pillows wrapped around his forearm with duct tape, and he would just fucking smash mouth you in the mouth. But you take some shit like fucking Joust and make that into like a fucking Armor League thing of today, that shit makes money. But again, I think the cost of it is going to deter a lot of people. The idea of dropping $400, $500, $600 on a fucking practice sword, that shit bends or fucking breaks.
I feel like you can find your niche audience on like YouTube, right? Like that's kind of because you can basically. It's so easy to find your audience these days compared to when everything was like network or cable TV.
True.
Like Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could take something like M1. If you just made like an M1 channel, and then you can find you're gonna find sponsors that are Reebok's not coming to you, but
not
you
yet.
can find
I
sponsors
mean, not
certainly.
soon at least.
Exactly.
And then also just like general monetization on like YouTube or whatever platform you're gonna be on. Like I feel like there definitely is money to be made there. It's just a matter of figuring out like exactly how you're gonna do it and like what's gonna catch on.
I think it's just like with most things. Like, I mean, the only reason why Power Slap is around is because Dana White.
Dude, that shit was
But it's
taken
like,
off
I
before
do
that.
remember growing up, like on the History Channel specifically, there was a bunch of these shows where they had guys who were competing on Knights teams, but it never really went anywhere. Yeah, there was a whole show about jousting tournaments.
Now, by jousting, you mean obviously jousting on top of an ostrich, right? Like the game?
That would be a lot more entertaining, but no, this was like full on like dudes in armor jousting on horses.
Hey man, the nerd in me enjoyed that shit at fucking medieval times, man. That's some of the best shit to watch.
Dude, okay.
It really is.
No joke though. That shit's dangerous as fuck. Even if you're faking it,
dude. No shit.
You're on a goddamn animal you're on a goddamn 700 to 1,000-pound animal running at like 40 miles an hour with a gigantic spear pointed at you.
I'm gonna go with that's why the shows didn't last, because like insurance alone for one person was probably through the roof.
That was gonna be my next segue. What do you think the insurance would be for some shit like this? Like if someone actually wanted to open up like a fucking martial arts school.
Uninsurable.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
Well, I mean, there are martial arts schools for this stuff. I can't speak for jousting because I've never seen one. But I mean, there are kendo clubs or HEMA clubs for like European sword fighting, all that stuff.
Do you guys remember back in the probably late 90s, early 2000s, Century Martial Arts had created a new line of padded weapons. Do you guys remember it was ActionFlex? Because I thought this shit was going to change the way that people looked at what do you call it? Like fighting with weapons. I just knew that this shit was gonna take off. I think they had like who's that real famous martial arts guy? Fumio Demiro. He was like the poster child on all the images and all the marketing for the shit. They had like a mock kendo helmet, mock kendo gloves, fucking swords, staffs, nunchucks. Short swords. Rain Man, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the ActionFlex was a thing.
It took off like wildfire at first, and I remember a lot of like local karate schools and taekwondo schools, or even what do you call them? Even like practical martial arts or like Kali and Eskrima schools were trying to utilize these and adapt these in order to integrate these in their classes so that way they can actually live spar with padded weaponry and not worry about hurting the individual.
It was still early on because no holds barred MMA was taking over the world, so you couldn't really get shit done. I don't think people understand what MMA no holds barred UFC did to like traditional martial arts, and even like taking traditional martial arts and making them into competitions. Like that fucked up a whole genre for a lot of people.
They're really good. Like if you're trying to fuck around and work some Kali or some Eskrima or some sword play, they're actually not bad. They're weighted pretty good. They're padded pretty good. I mean, it'll give you a nice wake up call if you don't have the headgear on, but it won't bruise you. It won't cut you.
I think it's still like all this stuff's still being used, because when we were at that kung fu tournament last year, I remember the weapons guys had these.
Honestly, I thought that Century Martial Arts knocked it out of the fucking park with this shit. I really did. I was like, okay, somebody did it. Somebody took full contact stick fighting and found a way to implement it to the masses, so now everybody can do it. This is the way to go. And then poof, it just fucking disappeared.
I got a name. It's a throwback. I'm probably messing up a segment later on, but I gotta say it. Dark Brothers.
Oh,
You know who dropped the ball on Dog Brothers? Spike TV. You remember when Spike TV was still a thing?
bro, I was just gonna say that all of this shit needs to be on Spike TV.
You remember that shit, dude? When Spike TV used to be the channel for men?
Yeah, for sure. It was like Lifetime for chicks, Spike for guys.
Exactly. I mean, imagine fucking Dog Brothers, full contact stick fighting. The only thing they have are what, maybe some of them didn't even wear fucking gloves over their hands. They just wore fucking head protectors so that way they wouldn't get concussed or cut, and both would still happen. But imagine if Spike TV had picked up full contact stick fighting and aired that shit either before or after, like, Ultimate Fighter. That shit would have been huge.
I mean, it's not even just that. If those guys had aired more combat sports, like that could have just been a combat sports channel.
Well, they tried. They had, remember when Glory first came out? They had Glory on there. They had,
yeah, they had Glory, K1
Fighter,
for a while, boxing,
hell, TNA
karate
wrestling.
tournaments.
Yeah, they had all that shit. And then it got taken over by fucking Bar Rescue, and, yeah.
That was Viacom.
But yeah, I think Dog Brothers definitely proved that, honestly, if you look at Dog Brothers shit versus everyone else's shit when it comes to, like, collie and stick fighting, and let me clear the air on this now. I'm not saying that Dog Brothers are above and beyond everybody else. I'm not saying everybody else's style is trash. I'm not shitting on anybody's style of collie or Screama or Arnice or whatever. All I'm saying is there's a difference between practicing your form against a couch or in midair versus seeing if that shit works against another living body that doesn't feel like being hit.
Yeah, they were different. These dudes was using hockey sticks.
They didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, they did not. Again, it was like you saying in the very beginning. You know, if you're practicing or you're training in something, you don't have a sword. You just pick up something. Can you use it? How do you use it in an actual setting?
And that's what brings me back to the ActionFlex. I thought this was a great way to get past a lot of the, oh man, that shit wouldn't work in a real fight. Well, now you can test it out, and you can test it out for real, and you can test it out safely. And I just knew this shit was going to take off, and it just fucking fizzled. And, you know, it's one of those things where, once again, not to shit on it, but that's another thing that MMA, NHB fucking destroyed when it came to traditional martial arts.
Yeah, and when we say traditional, we're not just talking about like karate. We're talking about, you know, the sword fighting aspect. We even talking about, even on a previous show, like ninjutsu and things like that, where people were still practicing those arts. But then it became a situation where if you ain't doing jujitsu, you ain't, you know, whatever the case may be, yeah.
I think that kind of shit really kind of kicked martial arts in the balls. I enjoy grappling and all that shit too, but one thing I definitely I can't fuck with when it comes to the jiu-jitsu aspect, some of that cult-like mentality. That shit, I'm good.
But you don't understand, guys. It's the truest form of anything.
This is jiu-jitsu.
Like, there's so many. I'm not going to call any of them out, obviously, because we're a small podcast, but all the jiu-jitsu podcast guys who say, there's nothing cult-like about it, and then go on to basically say cult shit.
Basically. I actually wish somebody would take the cult-like approach when it came to fucking bladed weaponry, damn it. I want to see more sword fighting. I want to see more Armored League. I want to see more joust shit. I think that there's a definite void when it comes to weapon applications. I shouldn't just have to just only be able to watch this shit on film. I mean, granted, it looks great in movies, but I want to see the real application of a fucking bow staff on a street fight. We all know what that is. It's called Yankee Stadium. You're going to swing that shit like you have no fucking sense. But at the same time, I still want to fucking see it. Now, when it comes to... I know I just made this whole speech about that. Now, when it comes to the whole traditional aspect of the sword fighting, I'm not going to lie. Shit like Aido bores the living shit out of me. I tried venturing down the rabbit hole and watching that shit. I had no idea it was just drawing of the sword and putting it back.
Well, you don't understand. That's the most important part.
Oh, I'm sure it is, man. It's like unholstering a firearm and aiming. I get it, and there's definitely some shit you got to master. But who the fuck is watching ESPN to watch dudes draw their gun, shoot nothing, and put it back? Could you imagine Top Shot? That's all they did was draw their weapon and put it back.
That would be so fucking boring.
So I was under the impression that Aedo was the art of drawing a sword, but it inherently that it was to cut with the drawing of the sword.
And it is.
So that
you're absolutely right. It is. I'm just watching the videos and I'm like, holy fuck. Their explanation made a lot of sense. From here, Takanashu would fucking draw his blade, turn his wrist like this, which simulates sliding down the back end of another person's blade and slicing them across the face. And I'm pretty sure that's probably true. But fuck, it is so slow and boring to watch.
So they didn't even cut the mats? Like they didn't even cut the mats?
No, what he's talking about is the competitions where they sit on the floor and then they draw the sword, hold it in a pose, and then put it back.
That reminds me of wine tasting. Like this pretentious shit where it's like, hey, yeah, we know all these super little nuances and like all this shit, and ultimately none of it fucking matters.
Nope. Okay, picture this: you got two guys, right? They got their helmets on, they got armor on. Maybe UTBABYA represents fucking Europe. He's got the fucking European long blade or whatever, and then you got Lobo. He represents, I don't know, the fucking Vikings or some shit, and then you got WNBA hating Justice Magnificent, representing, representing, Japan. He's got his katana, and everybody gets one swing, one strike. Okay, UTBABYA, boom, he pulls out his long sword, and he swipes Lobo across the chest, makes contact, and then on the gelatin torso, you get to see what that would have done had the armor not been there. Lobo, back to UTBABYA. Okay, he used his Viking fucking one-handed caliber and came across the torso. And then on the gelatin torso, you get to see what that would have done in actual battle without the fucking armor, and so forth down the line. I know that'd probably be expensive as shit of a show, but I mean, I think that'd be fucking dope as fuck. Then maybe near the end of the show, everybody just fucking battles, and then you have a fucking winner.
So you're talking about like at a stage thing where when somebody makes a clean blow, it cuts to a ballistic, like a gelatin torso getting cut in the same way.
Exactly. Kind of like a cross between like human weapon / deadliest warrior / fucking M1 medieval fucking night fights.
Yeah.
With a instant playback. That's actually pretty cool.
Right? That'd be dope as shit. Let me go ahead and put that out there. Copyrighted and trademarked. Fist Fights and Fried Rice podcast. For those of you who are listening to our shit and stealing our ideas. That would be a great way to introduce weaponry and like sword fighting and like not even so much sword fighting, but just to introduce the masses to edged weapons.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope. From a purist perspective,
yes.
Like, and by purist I mean someone who is primarily interested in violence and the effectiveness of techniques, you would have to have a no stabbing rule. There's really no way to mitigate the risk of stabbing. Even if you like blunt the shit out of the weapons, like, I mean, if you stab at someone with a gigantic fat like baseball bat, you're still gonna fuck their shit up. That's the only thing that I think would kind of like, it would make it difficult for me to kind of like accept, but it would still be fun to watch.
You are absolutely right. But if there is a way to get around the whole no stabbing thing, I think that would be a fucking dope ass concept, and I think that'd be an entertaining fucking watch.
Oh yeah, entertaining, definitely. No doubt.
Now, speaking of entertaining, How many of us actually trained some type of weaponry?
Probably all of us.
Okay, so, yeah,
Nope.
that's pretty fair. Really? None?
Nope.
No college sticks? No nothing?
I had some tonfas. I did a little nunchaku.
Okay.
And then some, a little bit of like dabbling in bow staff, and then some of the. I never actually had like a steel training sword, but I went through like some of the just learning the basic movements for double-handed swords, long swords.
Wow. So Justice, no nothing? No.
Yeah, I took one class of some that Kali Filipino bullshit, and I was like, hell no, I'm done.
That's awesome. Okay. All right.
Nope.
So either way, you at least held a weapon of some sort.
If you want to call it that.
Yes, we're gonna call it that. Fucker, stop ruining my segue. So anyway. So we've all experimented or dabbled in the least bit. Let me ask you guys this: if by chance a world-renowned actor had an experience to present to the masses in which he, as this actor, who was famous for wielding swords and being Scottish, had an organization that traveled around the world giving those who wanted to try a edged weapon experience, would you take up the offer to try said class, if you will, or try said seminar, if you will, if said actor was there? And by said actor, I mean one Highlander the series, Adrian Paul, famous for playing Duncan MacLeod on the Highlander series. He has an organization, it's already in the chat, known as the Sword Experience, that travels apparently all around the country and all around the world, allowing such peons and noobs the opportunity to live their Highlander fantasy and learn basic sword techniques. Now, it's not just him. He has brought along apparently some of the world's best when it comes to edged weaponry. And they, like I said, they have these seminars and they have this merchandise, and this be something that would interest you guys.
Is it free?
It is not.
Okay, yeah.
Free.
How much is it, and do I get to keep the sword?
It is not free. I have not looked up the price, but the reason why I ask, I'm not going to go into not too many details, but this month, the Sword Experience will be in our neck of the woods of the Carolinas, and I'm curious, whom is wanting to not only meet Sir Adrian Paul, the Highlander of the 90s, but to also gain the sword experience.
I'm a big Highlander fan, so I'll be there if I could.
Yeah, I think I just drive the 4 hours down to Atlanta and train at Arma with John Clements' crew.
I knew you were going to say that. I just knew.
Yeah.
I just knew. For those who don't know, the Sword Experience will be in Charlotte, North Carolina, April 20th and April 21st. Conveniently located right behind our gym.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Yes, sir. This made my whole fucking day.
I retract my answer.
Dude, I am contemplating shutting the fucking gym down and going to this shit. So, the cost, this is where it this is where things get interesting. So, the first day is April 20th, and that will run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then there's the second day, April 21st, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Cost is anywhere between $55, which isn't bad, to $605. I'm trying to understand the large jump from cost.
I see what they did here, and it's fucking stupid.
Please,
The
fill us in.
$55 is for spectators only, so you can't participate. You can just watch. Then the participation is starts at $230 and goes all the way up to $600 for both days. So you can stand there and look at stuff for $50, or you could do something for a lot. Fuck this.
And now there's the real question that I need to know. Is Adrian Paul guaranteed to be there? Because it says the Sword Experience and Adrian Paul are coming to Charlotte for the very first time. Now, I'm not going to lie. If one of you, or two of you, or all three of you want to donate to send Tazz's fat ass over to the Sword Experience so he can stand toe-to-toe with Adrian Paul in sword pose, I will understand. Kind of pisses me off a little bit where it says no photos or videos are allowed during the sword event. Bro, if I get a chance to go toe-to-toe, sword-to-sword with Adrian Paul, I need documentation. I need proof that Highlander whooped my ass.
I'm sure they will have their own video that's being taken, and they will sell it to you.
I like how it says that you have to be a minimum of 4 feet 6 inches to participate.
So if he gets 10 people per day at these things, he's making, at the very minimum, $2,500 a day. Huh.
That is amazing.
So the Elite, you get your own bouquin to take home with you, a personal pose photo, an 8x10 Highlander photo of your choice,
Of my choice, nice.
and a unique photo certification signed by Adrian Paul, and any participant, spectator, guest that you want to invite, it drops down from $55 to $35.
Oh shit! Oh, and a minimum 2-minute edited video of my event.
Please note a 7% service fee will be at checkout.
Oh wait! There it is. A personal posed photo with Adrian. Boom! There it is.
Now, does that mean he's in the photo, or it's like green screened in?
That means he is standing there in Highlander pose, and I am crouched down, holding onto his leg like a maiden in distress. What's gold offer us? A unique photo certification signed by Adrian Paul. Oh, apparently that's priceless. I like that. Another personal post photo.
Customized blade.
Wait.
On your classic, customized blade on your classic white oak sword experience bouquin. Handle is carved in Kevlar, wrapped in Japanese suka.
I don't know.
But to do that one, you have to do that one 4 weeks out, I guess, because they gotta make your sword.
Yeah, boy, this whole thing just. Wow. Yeah.
If I just do the basic, I get to just do a full day of training with Adrian as I whisper sweet nothings in his ear, and I get a unique photo certification signed by Adrian Paul. Nice.
I doubt you'll get to train with him.
Oh, I'm going to train with him. You're going to get straight fucking Deebo and knock the fuck out. Are you Megan Anderson? Yes. I identify as Megan. By the way, I love you. You're like, do I know you? Oh, you're going to. Not gonna lie. I'm just gonna be completely honest. If someone from the gym were to fuck around and actually buy me tickets to this shit, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and have my wife on standby because I'm probably gonna get arrested for giving off the wrong kind of vibes. I just want to be completely honest. That motherfucker is not going to feel safe. I'm going to be like, okay, then draw your sword. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing? I'm just smelling your hair. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? What's really fucked up is my wife wouldn't even be surprised. She would just show up with bail money. Hey, I'm here to pick up my husband. Oh, who's that? You know who he is. He's the one. He's the one in the fucking back right now, singing the fucking Queen song, screaming out the window. There can be only one, and his name is Duncan. Oh God, these prices are a little steep though. In all honesty, I mean that man hasn't been on TV as the Highlander in like what 30 years.
30 some years. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If I had it like that, I would go. I don't.
Oh, that's not even a question, bro. If I had like that, I'd be camped out right now. I have to be the first one through the door.
The guys that he have with him
Mean nothing to me. They're not Adrian.
I mean, he's you gotta bring some legit people to teach. He's trying to make it legit seem like it's legit. I'm not gonna say they aren't who they say they are, but I'm not gonna say they are either.
All right, so round table. Lobo, if you had it like that, and you could afford to go to this thing, would you go?
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
All right, now would you go all in? Get the customized sword with a lock of his hair? Like, where you at with this?
I don't know about the lock of his hair part, but if I had enough money to afford this, I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay. Justice?
Hell yeah, I would go. It's Duncan McLeod, it's Clan McLeod.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going all in.
Good man.
I really don't care about the second day. I just
Give a
want the
fuck about
sword
the
and
day.
the pictures.
I'll be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about any of this. I just want to stand there, get my picture next to Adrian Paul, and I have to do the damsel in distress pose. I want my customized sword, probably still a lock of his hair. What about day 2? Now I got what I want to get fucked. All right, UTBABYA, if you had it like that, would you roll?
I think you know what I'm going to say.
I just feel like this should have changed your mind, sir. This should have changed your mind, and you'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm doing this.
You
gotta
see,
know. I gotta
the
know.
problem with that is that I would have to care who this guy is. And since I didn't really watch Highlander, because even at age, I don't know, 7, I was like, this campy shit is fucking terrible.
Wow.
I can't actually say that my time wouldn't be better used doing anything else.
Well, gentlemen, that leads into our next segue. It is time to discuss our craptacular karate flick.
And now, our feature presentation.
Lobo! Sir, are you ready to synopsize one of the greatest action sci-fi martial arts fantasy movies of all time?
I can feel you using air quotes.
Damn it, you know me too well, bro. The floor is yours, sir.
The Highlander is a story of immortals fighting through time to have the prize, because there can only be one. The movie is about Connor McLeod, the titular Highlander, who one day discovers that he is an immortal because he walks off a fatal injury for the common man in the midst of a battle. And being held as bewitched by his entire village, he goes on to find his teacher with the form of a young Ramirez, a Spanish Egyptian with a katana, played by a Scottishman.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that really confuses me about this movie. The main character is played by a French-speaking guy, and his teacher is supposed to be Egyptian, played by a Scottish dude.
Oh, see, that's easy to explain, sir. See, that is late 80s, early 90s Hollywood, and what that means is all races can be played by anyone white.
To be fair for this movie, they did have a an African immortal that was played by an actual black dude.
That is true.
Props to them. And this movie can be very misleading, as Justice pointed out when we were discussing this film at one point. It's like, see, when I first watched this movie, I assumed that when the Kurgan said that those two were the last immortals, that they were honestly the last immortals. But as Justice pointed out, no, you gotta watch all the movies to really get what this first movie is about.
Except for 2. And I watched 2. Fuck.
As far as I know, based on talking to you, the movies go 1, 3, 4, and that's it.
We'll just say 1, 3, 4. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got to fix that. Fuck, we got to fix that. I think it's got to go 1, the series. Fucking 3, but only parts of it. 4, only the first half, and then 5, the second half. Yeah. Yeah.
This movie does have one of my favorite villains of all time. The fucking Kurgan. Dude, he's played by Clancy Brown, and that dude is just chewing the scenery, just hamming it up from scene to scene. He steals the show, and that says something because Sean Connery's in this fucking movie.
Does anyone know what kind of sword that is that he has? Or is that just some Hollywood shit?
I think it's supposed to be like a European longsword or something that they just made look weird as fuck.
Oh.
Are you talking about when he broke it down into pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also confusing me. It's like, how are you going to snap a sword together?
Yeah. See, that would be some Hollywood shit. Yeah, it would have to be.
So let me ask you this, Lobo. What do you like about the Kurgan? Other than the fact that it's Clancy Brown and he chews up the scenery.
I mean, he's supposed to be just a massive bad guy. He's like the strongest of all the immortals. He's been around the longest. And he just gives no fucks about anything.
I did like that. I dig the fuck out this movie. Especially going back and rewatching it. I don't know why Justice decided to watch part 2. He must have clearly did that in between women's NBA games. So anyway, what I really liked about this movie was fucking everything, for the most part. And having gone back and rewatched it, a lot of things that didn't make sense to me finally do make sense. And I just gotta say, the trench coat budget for this movie had to be fucking astronomical. This is the only movie that wearing a fucking trench coat like this, or like what they were wearing, makes any sense. And that is something that I do like, the fact that they carried into the series, because that does make sense. Not everybody's sword fucking breaks down like Kurgan's, so you got to be able to hide your sword. And I like the fact that they were using trench coats to do it. I do think there was flaws in that though. For one, what's holding your sword in place in your trench coat? 2, was to keep it from just banging and clanging up against shit. 3, was to keep it from cutting you because you don't have it in the scabbard in your trench coat. And how do you sit down?
Wait. They didn't have it in a scabbard?
Fuck no, dude. You don't have
Some of the it's weird. There's so many swords that are just unsheathed, so I guess they're just gripping them by the blade or something as they're underneath their trench coat.
I mean, jeez.
So the first scene in this movie is a wrestling match. Pretty awesome, pretty cool, I guess.
No.
Now, who are the wrestlers in that?
Let me stop you there. Did you just say pretty cool?
It didn't show the full match, so it was kind of cool.
It doesn't matter, sir. That is Madison fucking Square Garden, and those are the fabulous Freebirds. You see that hair? As an African-American man, I wished I had hair like that. And still do.
Michael P.S. Hayes.
That man was horribly out of shape and still could perform like that in the ring and still called himself a Freebird. That's confidence, sir.
So it was kind of cool, yeah.
There's no kind of cool. It's Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden at the time was only known for a few things. Basketball, concerts, wrestling. Boxing. Yeah, let me throw that in there too before I get fucking lynched.
So, after the amazing wrestling match that is awesome and perfect in every way,
Thank you.
we get our first sword fight of the movie. I guess this Immortals just kind of know that other people are immortals even if they haven't seen them before, which I guess makes sense.
Bro, they have the Spidey sense. Actually, what do they call that when an immortal senses the other? Is it just the sense?
The Gathering or something?
No, sir. We're not doing this. I would not let you do it. Go ahead, Justin.
Alright, fine. Yeah, so they use their immortal ninja Spidey sense. Figure out that there's 2 immortals there, and of course there can only be one, so they immediately start sword fighting.
Yes.
And Connor McLeod wins, of course he does. But there's a problem, because the police somehow know about it already. Stashes his sword, runs away, then immediately gets caught.
It's New York, so I mean,
exactly.
What do you expect?
It's New York.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they were able to put that together. I was like, alright, beheaded body of a random guy, okay, what time is it? Alright, it's Tuesday in New York in the 80s. And the weirdest interrogation I think has ever been put to screen happens.
I found it to be rather erotic. Homoestus eroticus. This dude said some shit like, I like your accent, where are you from? And I think he tells him or some shit, you some type of faggot. And he's like, why, are you cruising for some ass? And there's just this awkward, I'm going to stare deeply into your eyes moment. The only thing missing was romantic music at that point.
It is the 80s.
It is the
People
80s.
said that. People said that word, and we can't say it. We're just quoting.
Air quotes.
Don't cancel us.
You can't see it. I air quoted.
We're not calling people that. We're quoting.
Fabulous Freebirds. I don't know why I did that.
Because why not?
So, Lobo, after rewatching this movie, let me ask you 3 questions. 1,
Alright.
what were your thoughts on the storyline itself? What did you think about the story?
As an overall story, I actually do like it. There's a few questions I do have in regarding like why there are no new immortals and how would the immortals just end without like the end of people basically. I like how it got going. I definitely do think that in the case of Connor McLeod, when he did discover he was an immortal and his whole town discovered he was immortal, that they would kick him out for being a servant of the devil or a perceived one.
Question 2, what were your thoughts on the fight choreography?
There was choreography?
I mean, it was the 80s.
I mean, it's not the worst I've seen.
I mean, we're definitely spoiled by the fucking Jason Bourne, John Wick movies of today. Not
I mean, it's not even just that. Like, I watch samurai movies from the 70s, so.
Yes, those are full of badasses and real martial artists. Question 3. Would you want to see a remake?
Sounds like a yes.
I'm sorry, just kidding.
That was awesome. Sir, would you like to see a remake?
No. So the thing about it is, like, unless you're doing something unique with the story, I don't see a reason why you should remake it.
Okay. You know what? That's a hot take, but I appreciate that and I respect that. Justice. Let me ask you 3 questions. Question 1. What'd you think of the story?
Great storyline. It went well with the movie. I loved it.
What'd you think about the choreography or lack thereof?
Trash.
Damn, you guys are brutal. Fuck.
Hey, listen, you a child of the 80s and 90s. I'm gonna say a couple of movies
Okay.
with some sword play that's gonna be better.
Okay.
Am I around the same time? Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, Beastmaster.
Beastmaster.
All right. Fuck.
Fucking Beastmaster.
I had no comeback for any of that shit. All right.
Bro, how you got hit on Beastmaster,
Right?
man?
Fuck, dude. All right, I'm going to the next fucking question. Would you like to see a remake? Fuck.
Hell no.
Get
The way
fucked.
they fucked up. Hell no. The way they fucked up Roadhouse. No,
Look,
I do not want to see a
we,
remake. I
we're
want to
going to
see
save
Henry
that for another
Cavill.
day. Don't go into that. We're going to save that for another day.
I'm not. I'm not. But
Ah,
no, I do not want to see a remake. Leave shit alone.
fuck.
Leave it alone.
Okay. UTBABYA, did you ever get a chance to spend a little time and get familiarized with Highlander?
Fuck no. Come on.
I fucking love it. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions anyway. From what you've heard,
Okay.
does this sound like a story that would interest you?
Absolutely not. Bro, you're talking about how fucking, like, they're aliens or some shit? That, like...
Okay,
what
that's
the
number
fuck?
2, and we're not talking about number 2.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
sorry, what is this L. Ron Hubbard shit that you're talking about? Like, absolutely not.
All right, we'll go ahead and skip number 2. You don't know shit about the choreography. All right, so from what you've heard...
Well, no. Let me comment on the choreography
please
because
do
I
that.
already know what it was. It was hot trash. Because it had to be.
It was the 80s. Everybody was on coke.
That's right. It was low budget, and it was a movie in the 80s, and there were Scottish people who were aliens who were immortal using samurai swords. Guess what? I already know what the choreography was.
Awesome.
Hot dog shit.
So would you like to see a remake, sir? Question 3, would you like to see a remake?
I actually would. I would love that.
So Tazz is going to ask
Yep.
himself 3 questions now. So Tazz, yes, Tazz. What did you think of the story, the characters, etc.? Well, Tazz, let me tell you like this. It was the 80s. Everybody was on fucking coke. And I completely understand that some idiots clearly sat around, probably took some folklore and decided to fuck it up and make a fucking action movie on a shoestring budget. They got an unknown actor at the time whose biggest role was probably fucking nothing at the time. Couldn't afford any real fight choreographers and just basically told these guys to wing it. Kurgan as a villain was fucking awesome. Have to agree with Lobo 100% on that one. Hands down, one of the best fucking villains. I kind of wish he had survived this shit so he could appear later on in some other shit because he was fucking dope. Soundtrack is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Thoroughly enjoyable for what it was. Oh, good, Tazz. Thank you. Question number 2, Tazz. Yes, Tazz. What'd you think of the choreography? Well, Tazz, as I stated before, it was the 80s. Everyone was on coke. Fuck justice. And yeah, there was movies like Beastmaster and Red Sonja and Conan the Barbarian, but they couldn't afford those fuckers. So they had to deal with bargain bin choreographers, the Temu versions of fucking choreographers that did shit like probably any sword fight from any made-for-TV movie of its time. Would you like to see a remake? Question 3. Abso-fucking-lutely. But why? Well, here's the thing, Tazz. The first movie is considered a classic. The second movie made me want to end myself in ways in which there would be no tomorrow. The sequels are subpar, absolute bottom bin dog shit to the point where I don't know why Justice decided to watch part 2. And not only did he watch part 2, but he watched the shitty version of part 2, not the remade version. He watched I believe it was the director's cut. Yeah, he hates himself. But then again, this is also a person who hates women's sports. So, with that being said, obviously, and he's a moralist vegan, it makes perfect sense that he would watch the second movie, completely skip the third movie, barely talks about the fourth movie, and has diuretic seizures when it comes to the fifth movie. But we can all unanimously agree, except for UTBABYA because he hates himself and he hates the 90s for whatever reason, that Highlander the series
Wow.
is fucking epic in every way. You should talk about Highlander the series. You know what, Tazz? Yes, Tazz. We're going to. So, Lobo, you familiar with Highlander the series in the 90s?
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
That wasn't my question. Are you familiar with it?
Vaguely.
Fuck yeah, you are. You are familiar with its awesomeness and its awesome lead actor, Adrian Paul, who, by the way, will be in Charlotte April 20th and April 21st, providing those of you who wish to gain the sword experience. See how I segued all the way back? Full circle, folks. See what I did there? That's some Hemingway shit.
Did you just compare yourself to Hemingway?
It's my show. I do what the fuck I want to do. So, Justice. You familiar with the Highlander show of the 90s, sir?
Hell yeah.
Would you be so kind? I should just give us a little breakdown of Highlander the series for the unknowledgeable, such as UTBABYA.
So Highlander the series is a spinoff. It's based upon the Highlander. Duncan MacLeod, who was born from the same clan of Connor MacLeod from the movie, but Duncan was born decades after Connor and found out he was immortal. It's some backstory where that men up. Connor trained him in the beginning, and they went in separate ways. And Duncan, on his journeys, learned to use a sword and a katana, and eventually has a boat in France or Paris, that he stays on the damn boat, and he has all these artifacts where he sells them and makes a shit ton of money, just like Connor does in the movie. And he knows kung fu. He's not a pedophile like Connor, though.
Wait, what?
Huh? What?
Hold on.
What? Where the fuck did that come from?
Take?
See?
What?
You see, y'all should have watched the damn movie.
Well, but that makes me want to watch it less.
Yeah.
See,
It makes me want to take back everything nice I said about this
Do you
movie.
see the conundrum here?
I mean, technically, wouldn't they all be pedophiles, technically?
No, see, Connor saved a little girl when she was like 6. Shot in the back. Use his immortality to just absorb the gunshot wound and kill the guy after he, saved the little girl.
Okay.
And in that movie, he kisses the little girl on the lips. He meets the young lady, the reporter, because now she's about 70 years old.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. See, the little girl and his secretary, they're the same fucking person.
That's right.
So they had a relationship. He said he loved her.
Wait,
He said,
hold on. Is this like a Woody Allen shit?
I
where,
did
like,
not
she grew
put
up?
that together at all.
So did the girl like grew up and then they had a relationship? So he like
Yep,
Woody
sure.
Allen to this girl?
Yep. So
Yeah.
he
Or like-
sure did.
Wow.
He
Okay.
sure did.
Damn it.
So-
Connor MacLeod's a groomer.
He is a groomer, sir. You're welcome. You're welcome. This is why Duncan MacLeod was better than Connor MacLeod.
I mean, that's without question. Duncan was definitely better than Connor. But to be fair, Duncan also had some very questionable actions and questionable relationships throughout the Highlander series. But you're right, he didn't groom any of them.
He did not groom. Again, Duncan had a lot of adventures. And overall, the story, the backstory from the series, with Adrian Paul is just overall, his charismatic accent, the long hair.
He looked like Sean Connery.
Yeah, he just, that's who he pictured him out, like a younger Sean Connery, and he killed it. Seasons 1 through 3 of the Highlander were great.
How many seasons are there?
Like five, six,
something like that. What had happened was the first series, introduces the character. It was still trying to find its footing. It really didn't pick up and take off until like seasons 2 through 3. And then what ended up happening is they basically started introducing way too many Immortals. Correct me if I'm wrong. The rules of the Immortals. Obviously, there can be only one. No battling on holy ground. And it's supposed to always be only one-on-one duels at a time. So 2 Immortals aren't supposed to be able to gang up on one and, split the prize or whatever. It's supposed to be one-on-one fucking duels. And it never actually specifies who came up with these rules. And there were supposed to be consequences if you broke these rules, but they never really got around to. If you watch the fifth and final movie, there's an entity known as the Guardian that basically has this Charles Xavier psychic type power where he's basically linked to every fucking immortal. And if you break the fucking rules, it was supposed to be that the Guardian would get you.
No, this is where they fucked it up at. Yeah, if that was a Guardian, then in Final Dimension, Mario Van Peebles didn't give a fuck about any of that.
That's the third movie, folks.
He didn't give a fuck about no holy ground, any of that. Again, that last movie was bullshit.
Made for TV. It was a way for basically for people to finalize their contract obligations long after the series had ended, and it was supposed to be a way to give closure because people wanted to know what was the prize. And the series did a far better job of fleshing out the rules and fleshing out prize and the gathering than the movies ever did. But like I said, the problem was that they started introducing way too many immortals. Then as the series goes on, you come to find out that goddamn Connor is the motherfucking chosen one. He's the fucking Anakin Skywalker of the Highlander series. He ends up recruiting some little fuckboy named Richie, and this fucking pissant sucks, and you wait another 2 or 3 seasons for this fucker to die. But what I will say, the death of Richie, spoiler alert, the death of Richie is one of the greatest and funniest deaths in all of Highlander continuity. The Highlander, Duncan MacLeod, is goddamn roofied and drugged. And he is tripping balls, having fever dreams, and imagines himself being attacked by fuckers that have already attacked him throughout the series. People that he has already beheaded. So this dude is tripping balls, swinging a sword, having a kung fu fight in a dark tunnel with nobody. And his boy Richie, who's being a fucking prick, is running around trying to fight some immortal that he had no business trying to fight. And of course his boy Duncan is trying to save him, but somehow he ends up getting fucking roofied and fucking drugged. And Richie's like, oh shit, I gotta go help my boy Duncan. And like a fucking Riri, walks up to him as he's tripping balls, swinging his sword, taps him on the shoulder and goes, Duncan! And he turns around and he gets beheaded. It is one of the greatest deaths ever, because as Richie's body is slowly falling to the fucking ground, the drug wears off. And as it wears off, you get a montage of all their cool bro-to-bro moments. And then his body drops, and dude tries to run from the quakening, which is hilarious. And he gets quakened, and with that, he takes all of Richie's knowledge and all of Richie's strength, which, by the way, was none, because the kid was like 20 years old. He had achieved fuck nothing.
So he was a new immortal.
Yep.
He did kill that 900-year-old.
He did kill a 900-year-old immortal. Some say with the help of Duncan.
Yeah, he has some damn help. And again, shit's supposed to be 1-on-1. He has some help.
Somehow Duncan found a loophole and broke these rules, but ultimately Richie did kill him. So I guess in a way Duncan did gain something in the end. And then that's when Adrian Paul decided he was done being a sex symbol and cut off his ponytail. And Spence, you're laughing, but that was a big moment. He spends the last 2 seasons wandering around the earth like Kane, just helping people. And that was a Kane from Kung Fu reference. He just wanders around and helps people, and there's barely any beheadings for like the final 2 seasons because he has denounced killing. And for some reason, other immortals are okay with it.
Yeah, and that hence the reason why 5 and 6 were the worst seasons, and it got canceled.
Mm-hmm. All in all, definitely a great series in its own self. I'm not going to say it's like a multi-million-dollar franchise. It's clearly fucking not. it does have a cult following. They do have conventions and shit every year where people travel all over the fucking world, cosplay as these characters. The replica swords have made millions. The replica dragon head katanas have made millions throughout the fucking world, and they're still some of the most popular. Popular replicated swords. Little side fact though. The only sword that they weren't able to make a direct replica of was Connor's Dragonhead Katana. Because Connor's Dragonhead Katana, useless fact of the day, is trademarked by I believe it's an Italian sculptor who actually sculpted the handle of Connor's sword. So the only way you can get that type of Dragonhead Katana is to pay a shit ton of money. But you can get fucking Duncan's Dragonhead Katana just about almost anywhere, especially like off eBay and shit like that. You can get Duncan's sword left and right, but Connor's Dragonhead Katana, trademarked. That's why there aren't a bunch of replicas floating around.
Because there can only be one.
That's just kind of fucking smart, because that's the sword that, a lot of the collectors want, is Connor's Dragonhead.
I wouldn't want the sword of a pedophile, but to each his own. That's just me, though.
You definitely put an interesting spin. But yeah, you're talking about $600 for this fucking replica Connor sword, just because somebody copyrighted and trademarked that particular dragon head. Which, I guess that's a smart move on their part. If you want to collect it, you're going to pay the money to do it. So, props to them. The swords sell like fucking hotcakes. I think the website, it was cheesy, it was corny, it was stupid. But again, this is the 90s. This is the era of Acapulco Heat, fucking VIP, fucking Renegade, like all these stupid ponytail shirts.
Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, Lucy Lawless.
Exactly. Fuckers running around with leather vests on with no shirts on underneath, knowing that it's hot as shit outside. Yeast infection, fucking tight jeans, and you're still throwing karate kicks. This was...
Good Lord, man.
This was that fucking era. And I'll tell anybody now, if you guys are looking to ever just fucking binge watch the shit, Tubi TV has all 6 seasons, and I think Pluto TV has finally created a 24-hour fucking Highlander streaming channel, so you could just sit there and binge watch and get your Adrian Paul on all fucking day. Avoid the movies, people. Watch the first one, and if someone tells you to watch the second one, look at your drinks, look at your food. They may have spiked your shit, because that right there is a fever dream. That right there is literally the equivalent of being roofied. Highlander 3, man, wow. There is the black Dragonhead Katana that for some reason never took off. And then I realized why. If anyone ever gets a chance, if you look up Mario Van Peebles' black Dragonhead Katana from Highlander 3, when he's holding the sword backwards, so handle first, blade back, it looks like he's holding a black dildo. It is one of the most awkward scenes where he's pointing to Connor McLeod, talking about, I'm gonna stick you, I'm gonna stick you, I'm gonna stick you.
Some deliverance shit right there.
Yeah. So I can definitely see why that replica sword didn't take off, or maybe it did, just in different circles. Who knows? Watching part 4 is a great one, depending on which version of the movie you could find, because apparently there's 3 different fucking versions of the movie. There's one where some fucking guy is so strong that he can morph his body into 2 separate immortals and fight you at the same time. It's nonsensical. But what it is great for, it has one of the best sword fights between Donnie Yen and Adrian Paul. And it is a great fight scene, and everything else sucks. But it's also the first time since the series where Connor McLeod and Duncan McLeod team up. Yay.
At that point, everybody was hoping for Connor just to be gone anyway.
Yeah. Tired of hearing about this motherfucker.
I am no longer the Highlander. You are now the Highlander.
That's about spot.
Yeah, his voice was...
It was horrible. What I will say was one of the good things about the Highlander series and the Highlander movies is that it did help popularized edge weaponry on film and on TV, because there was a lot of series after Highlander went off the air that tried to carry along the swordplay fantasy thing. Well, like you had mentioned, you had your Kevin Sorbos and Hercules, you had your Xenas, then you had your lesser known shows. Lorenzo Lamas attempted to do his own version of a Highlander show called The Immortal. Yeah, where he walks around.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that shit? Where he walks around with a fucking treadmill and walks around in a trench coat and a fucking ponytail and has a sword, and he's teamed up with some, I don't know, some young fuckboy and some young feminist, and they're just running around killing other immortals. They don't say the line that there can be only one. They just say some shit like, "You are not the chosen," or some stupid shit. It lasted one whole season.
Now, when we say one season, do we mean one full season or one half
Hell
season?
no, dude. There is no ending to that shit. It's like, tune in next week, get fucked. But the show, Doug said, the show did open up doors for other edged weapon fantasy shows. Like I said, The Mortal. There was it Queen of, oh shit, was it? Is it Queen of Blades or Queen of Spades or
Queen of Swords.
with the hot Hispanic chick, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Queen of Swords. She was beautiful. Amen to her. I'm sad that her show didn't last. They tried bringing back Zorro at the time. Beastmaster the series. That was another one.
The series. It was. I actually watched that one. That was pretty. It was okay.
Oh, you're not going to shit on that, sir. That was an amazing show.
It was, yeah.
It was okay.
No, sir, it was an amazing show until that fucker spoke.
It was okay.
He sounded special needs. Fucking Sinbad. Fuck, there was a bunch. But none of those shows lasted as long as Highlander did. And most of them were actually forgettable. Well, no, I guess Hercules and Xena lasted pretty long, right?
Yeah, they.
Xena, yeah. I don't know about Hercules.
Xena lasted for a while.
Yeah.
Hercules. I can't remember that Kevin Sorbo not want to do. As he did those few movies.
Yeah, he got burned out because he did the movies first.
Yeah.
And then he did several seasons of Hercules, and then he started getting typecast because he couldn't get movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If you call him Hercules now, and if he punched people in the face, I probably would not be mad at him.
I mean, he did try his hand at was it Andromeda, the space show?
Andromeda? Yeah, Andromeda was good.
It was
the first two seasons.
It was actually a little ahead of its time. So I think that's gonna do it for fucking edge weaponry, man. You got a memory lane for us, sir? Because I don't.
Memory lane. We talked about it earlier.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Now let me take a trip down memory lane.
All right, so memory lane. Again, Dog Brothers. Look them up. They were ahead of their time when we talking about, edge weapons or weaponry, combat, whether it works or not. Check out their videos. Those guys were like putting foot to ass on each other. Sticks, hockey sticks, baseball bats, whatever they could find. They were doing it. Those gatherings that they had, 3 days, 4 days, whatever they were, dating back to 2013 and before, legendary.
That's what's up. Well, gentlemen, as always, you guys could have been anywhere else in the world. You guys decided to join me here this evening, and it is greatly and muchly appreciated. I'm sure the millions and upon millions of listeners. Gentlemen, that was all I had for you guys. As always, UTBABYA, Lobo, Justice, much appreciated. Excellent fucking show, and let's get the fuck out of here. Be sure to listen, like, share, and subscribe for all the latest episodes, news, and updates. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at fistfights.friedricepodcast or at h8l.muay thai. On Twitter, follow us at h8l_fight talk.